Rubber band of doom! Welcome to my Usopp video. We're here to talk about Usopp, everything Usopp. This is just a nice appreciation video. If you haven't yet, go check out my Luffy and Zoro video. I'm doing the whole crew in order from when they've officially joined. So Sanji will be next, but before that, we have to talk about Usopp. If it's your first time here, or if you've seen any of my previous Straw Hat series videos, make sure you subscribe if you aren't, and leave a like so I know how many Usopp fans there are out there, and gotta give him the love that he deserves, because Usopp is pretty underrated, in my opinion. He's one that doesn't get talked about a lot, but when he does get talked about, there is a lot to talk about. We are going to talk about first his backstory and his dream. Then we're going to go throughout the series and talk about his major accomplishments and character development, which there's a lot of. Let's just, spoiler alert, there's a lot. And then we're going to talk about his future on Wano, which is probably limited at this point, but more so after Wano, what the future of the series will hold for Usopp and how he's going to achieve his dream. Also, if you're interested, go follow me on Twitch and Twitter for more One Piece anime and gaming content, but let's get into the video. So, starting off with Usopp's backstory and his dream. His dream is to become a brave warrior of the sea. Here, in my opinion, he is the only Straw Hat who doesn't really have a precise thing that needs to happen for him to claim that he's achieved his dream. He adds on to it a little bit later on to claim that he wants to go to Elbaf and meet the brave warriors over there, so I guess we could say that maybe once he's at Elbaf then it'll be official, but otherwise it's really just about perception. It's a personal perception, but it's also the world's perception of Usopp to say whether or not he's achieved his dream of brave warrior of the sea. But, however, honestly, we could argue pretty easily that Usopp's already achieved his dream because he's already extremely brave. Especially since the time skip, Usopp has been proving himself to go through very daunting tasks and be brave throughout them. But more of that later on. So he chose to become a brave warrior of the sea because of his dad, Usopp, a member of the Red Hair Pirates. Which also gave him an even closer connection with Luffy, first off, because, you know, Luffy, Shanks, Red Hair Pirates, Usopp, you know how that connects. They kind of bonded by Usopp being excited that Luffy knew who his dad was, and Luffy probably knows Usopp better than Usopp does, but that's besides the point, because Usopp does not harbor any ill will towards his father. He's admired his dad since he was a little kid when Usopp pulled a Gin and just kind of left him, but Usopp pulled a Gon and said that, wow, being a pirate must be really cool. If my dad left me and my mom to go do it, I want to be a pirate too. I want to be a brave warrior. His mom, Bankina, also did not resent Usopp's dad for leaving, and instead kind of raised Usopp talking about how great his dad was, which probably led into Usopp's perspective of the whole situation, because his mom never bad-talked him, and his mom said that, Usopp, your dad was a brave warrior of the sea, and you have to be the same way. Promise me that you'll be brave, and you'll do all this stuff. And Usopp, you know, kind of had no choice being raised that way, but unfortunately his mom did pass away, and Usopp was left alone in Syrup Village in the East Blue. Aside from wanting to be super brave, another big character trait of Usopp is lying, and that started when his mother first fell ill, and the only way that he could really cope with it and try to make his mom feel better would be to lie and say that his dad came back, that pirates arrived on the island, and that he came back to see them, and that, you know, Mom, you had to get better because Dad's here. And his mom, of course, knew that he was lying, and it kind of, even after she passed away, again, the only way that he could cope with it was lying to the whole village, and I guess himself in a really sad way, that his dad would return someday and that pirates were attacking the village, and that kind of became a theme as Usopp grew up as an orphan. I guess he kind of lived in the house all by himself. We don't really get much information for that, but he grew up almost every day shouting that pirates were attacking the island, and the island folk kinda got pretty tired of Usopp. He was basically the entire story of Boy Who Cried Wolf, but as we see later on, the villagers did enjoy Usopp's antics, and so did a sick little village girl named Kaya. He and Kaya grew close because Kaya, much like Usopp's situation, was left alone when her parents died, and she had a very rich family. She had a butler, and Mary, who was kind of the housekeeper, I guess. Butler also, type of guy, looked over Kaya. She was left alone when her parents passed away. And she was also a very sick girl, and she had to stay in bed a lot, so when Usopp met her, he would always tell her very colorful stories and lies about the adventures that he's gone on, the great foes that he's slayed. He even got himself a little bit of a following with 3 village kids, Onion, Pepper, and Carrot. Right, Carrot. Is that what people mean when they say Carrot's gonna join the crew? I'm down for that. But he started his own little pretend pirate crew. The little kids called him Captain, and he would go around wreaking havoc and just being a kid, you know? And even growing up, he still really aspired to go out to sea one day and become a brave warrior of the sea. So that brings us to where we meet Usopp in the series. As Luffy, Zoro, and Nami arrive on Syrup Village, Usopp is a fierce protector, and he has 8,000 followers, and he's ready to destroy the pirates who've come up. But they see through their lies. Luffy doesn't. Luffy's pretty impressed. But it turns out that Usopp's kind of scaredy cat nature kind of goes away when there's something that he needs to fight for, and we see Usopp's determination when it's revealed that Kaya's butler, Clawdor, or Kuro, Captain Kuro of the Black Cat Pirates, are out to stage her murder. Usopp tries desperately to warn the villagers, but a lifetime of lies catches up with him, like I said, the boy who cried wolf, and no one believes him, and not even Kaya. He stands to face Kuro alone, but of course Luffy, Zoro, and Nami aid him as well, and they fight the Black Cat Pirates, Usopp showing a lot of nice feats as he goes up against Kuro. He loses, but then he goes after Django with Zoro, and Usopp is the one to deal the final blow to Django, as Django is trying to hypnotize Kaya. So he saves Kaya, looks super cool, and it turned out that his warning was a lie after all, because the villagers never knew what happened, and for all they know, no pirates ever came to attack. Besides Kaya and the 3 Usopp pirates, no one knew what Usopp did that day, and Usopp wanted it to stay that way, which was really admirable, but that all led to him finally getting up the courage to set out to sea. He thinks on his own, but of course Luffy asks him to join the crew, and Kaya and Mary gift the Straw Hats the Going Merry, which is their first official ship that they have their Jolly Roger on and can claim as their own. So Usopp joins the crew after that. A Jolly Roger that Usopp designed, might I add. Now that he joins the crew and fulfills his first dream to set out to sea, they go to Arlong Park, where Usopp shows his first feat of bravery and goes up against a fishman named Chu. He actually tries to fake a loss and pretend to be dead so that Chu will leave him alone because he's so scared, but then Chu's walking off and Usopp kind of remembers that everyone is fighting for Nami and they have to win, he has to play his part. So he gets back up and shows his bravery by attacking Chu and wins. And I'm just gonna say that it's impressive for any human to win against a fishman, but even more impressive for Usopp because, you know, that's where we get the mighty Rubber Band of Doom. It's my favorite attack. After that, he aids the crew throughout the East Blue, all the way to the Reverse Mountain, and now onto the Grand Line, the first half, Paradise. On the Grand Line, he meets Dory and Bragi, 2 giants on Little Garden from the mighty Elbaf warriors. And once he sees their mighty strength and determination, all these things making them brave warrior of the seas, Usopp is determined to get to Elbaf, the home of the giants and the giant pirates, so that he could also meet them and learn what it is to be a brave warrior of the sea, which we've yet to see yet, but I am excited for Elbaf and Usopp later in the future. this plays into and adds a little bit to his dream in that way, where maybe he just really wants to get to Elbaf, and once he's there, maybe that's where he'll accept himself being a brave warrior of the sea, now that he's been to Elbaf and has made that journey. And it also gives it a destination to say that he's achieved one of his dreams, at least. His next big feat is on Alabasta, when he and Chopper go up against Miss Merry Christmas and Mr. Four. It is a tough, dragged-out fight, but Usopp manages to stay firm when Miss Merry Christmas laughs about Luffy. She tells Usopp that Luffy's dead, and once she hears that he's going to be king of the pirates, she just starts laughing. And Usopp has a really brave moment, really awful moment also, where he gets a, 4, 5, 50-ton bat to the face by Mr. Four, and you could see, like, his bones breaking, his nose breaking, oh man. But he gets back up and states that Luffy is going to be king of the pirates, and that is the one thing that you cannot laugh at. So that is a really epic moment from Usopp on Alabasta, and as he stands against this, him and Chopper end up defeating both of them and claiming a victory for the Straw Hats. On Jaya, before Skypiea, Usopp hears about Nolan the Liar, which a lot of the Straw Hats make jokes that Usopp is very similar to him, and that'll come into play later on in Dressrosa. And then also on Skypiea, Usopp catches a glimpse of a Klabautermon. Something was on the Mary, fixing up a lot of her damages, because the Mary has taken a pretty big beating up to this point, and that he has a special connection with the Mary since his village was the one who gifted them to the Straw Hats. And so he sees this figure repairing the Mary, and that'll also come into play more in the next arc of Water 7. Like I mentioned, with all their travels leading up to right now, the Going Merry has sustained substantial damage and unfortunately cannot be ridden anymore. The famous shipwrights of Water 7 claim that the hull is damaged, and so you basically need a new ship, despite everyone's very close relationship with the ship. And while all of that drama is going on top of it, Usopp gets jumped by the Frankie family after he's holding some of the cash rewards from Skypiea of the Straw Hats with like 1,000,000 berries in it, some 1,000,000 berries in it. And Usopp is beaten down. Usopp takes it upon himself, not wanting to be seen as the weakest link of the crew. He goes and confronts the Frankie family on his own, but again, he gets beaten down half to death really, really badly, and at this point the Straw Hats find out what's happening, and there's a really, really cool moment there, which is on par with like the walk to Arlong Park, where Usopp is laying defeated outside the Frankie house, and Luffy, Zoro, Chopper, and Sanji all stroll up to the Frankie house in a really epic scene in the anime, and they whoop some ass. Unfortunately, the money was lost because Frankie had taken it, but that was kind of irrelevant. The point is, now Usopp has these really, really intense feelings of being weak and not good enough for the crew and dragging them down with how pathetic he is. These feelings eat him up on the inside, and it all leads to his confrontation with Luffy, which pushes him to a boiling point about having to get a new ship and abandoning the Mary. And up to this point, Luffy and Usopp, the whole crew, are really good friends and really close and, you know, protect each other, all that, get along really well. But there was always something special with Luffy and Usopp. They were best friends. It was clear that they messed around the most, they had the most fun, and they were both childish and crazy. They just always really got along really well up until this point, which kind of led Usopp to not really seeing Luffy as a captain, more of just a best friend. So now in this situation where Usopp doesn't agree with what Luffy is demanding, Usopp doesn't respect him as a captain and a leader and does not feel like he needs to listen to him. So he argues, but you know, there's to a point he wasn't completely in the wrong because he was really emotional and the situation wasn't entirely explained to him. And he also thought that he was the reason, because he lost the money, that they couldn't repair the Mary. However, Luffy was seeing it more as a direct contest to his captaining, And so Luffy was basically just like, listen, I'm the captain, you have to listen to what I say, I don't need to explain myself, this is what a pirate is. And after their confrontation, Usopp ends up leaving the crew. All of those feelings of being too weak and too useless and not being able to keep up with how strong everyone is led him to leaving the crew. And then he challenges Luffy to a duel for the rights of the Going Merry, in which Luffy accepts, and they, in the most heartbreaking scenes, they fight. And Usopp doesn't immediately lose. I mean, watching it back, I recommend you watching that fight because it's super emotional and super, I mean, for Usopp, he really pulls his weight in being able to figure out the way that Luffy fights, you know, knowing him for so long, watching him fight. He uses his tricky way of fighting to throw Luffy off, because Luffy's just kind of brute force to the point, but he's easily thrown off with like tricks and things like that. Usopp honestly did a pretty damn good job fighting Luffy and kept him at bay and kept him off his feet, off his game for quite a long time, but in the end, we all knew, Luffy knew, Usopp knew, the crew knew how it was going to end, and Luffy beat Usopp, and with tears streaming down both their faces, Usopp and Luffy part ways. Luffy ends up giving Usopp the Merry because they're just gonna get a new ship anyway, but it was, you know, it was the point that Usopp tried to fight against Luffy as his captain. That was the whole point, that Usopp didn't respect him. Then, when Robin is captured, Usopp cared deeply for the situation, cared about Robin, of course, but not really being part of the crew anymore, he took on a persona of Sniper King so that he could aid the crew and go to Enies lobby and fight with them. And I know, before you comment, I'm going through this under the theory that I've heard, a weird theory, that Usopp is Sniper King. I know, weird. But we're just gonna go through this pretending that that theory is correct and that Usopp is Sniper King because it kind of works with his character and it'll just be a lot easier, you know. But so that's how we're gonna be treating it. I know I don't believe it either. We're just gonna go with it. So Usopp, dressed as Sniper King, tags along to Enies lobby, where he really kind of has a character development under the scenes where he fights against the CP9 and the world government alongside the Straw Hats. He has a fantastic scene when Luffy orders Sniper King to shoot down the world government flag, and he does without hesitation. He shoots a Firebird star all the way up to the flag, burning it. That scene symbolizes the entire fight against the CP9 agents and the Straw Hats, because the whole point of the scene is to show that the Straw Hats know who they're fighting against to get Robin back. They will go against the whole damn world if it means that they'll save Robin. So Usopp is right beside them without hesitation, burning down the flag to really drive that point home, that they are going to get Robin back and they don't care who they're up against. Sniper King plays a great role throughout Enies lobby, and he even has a really nice scene with Sanji where Usopp isn't able to defeat Jabra, the wolf dude, and Sanji comes in and he's like, I'm the hunter, you know, really cool Sanji moments, of course. And there's a moment where Sanji tells Usopp that while there are things that he can't do because Usopp is still dealing with the feelings of uselessness and not being good enough and being too weak, Sanji reminds him that while this type of thing isn't what he's necessarily good at, there are things that Sanji and the rest of the Straw Hats can't do, in which Usopp needs to do. So that brings Usopp to the Tower of Justice, where he rains down a bunch of sniping against all the people who are grabbing dragging Robin along the bridge to the Gates of Hesitation, or whatever they're called. He shoots down all the enemies who are taking Robin, and from a pretty damn good distance away. And then it's a really cool scene because then Zoro and Sanji, I think, are underneath him looking and watching as he's doing this crazy feat, but then Sniper King's just up on the Tower of Justice saying like, oh, the wind carries my name. He's just singing to himself from Sniper Island far away. It's just great. It's just so Usopp. He also appears when Luffy is fighting Lucci, and Luffy looks like he's defeated, he's on the ground. Usopp comes over and shouts out to Luffy to basically give him a pep talk, like, you aren't dead, you get the hell back up and fight him, otherwise I'm gonna be the next one who fights Lucci. And everyone knew what that meant. Lucci's gonna eviscerate Usopp. So it was that push to get Luffy to get his shit together and get back up and promise to not fall again, which is a really cool inspirational moment for Usopp. So that really adds on to his character there, where even with the fights and confrontation that he's gone through with Luffy, he's still there to support Luffy in the best way that he can, which is very impactful. After Eni's lobby and the Mary saves the crew from the Buster Call and they end up back on Water 7, Usopp waits till like the last moment trying to give a dramatic entrance back onto the crew, thinking that everyone's gonna, welcome back with open arms, which they are, but there was a condition, mostly made by Zoro, which, Zoro is great for Luffy for these reasons, but Zoro says that Usopp cannot join back with the crew if the first words out of his mouth aren't, "I'm sorry," or any form of apology. Because if he apologizes and he accepts what he's done, then we're fine. We're happy to bring him back on the crew, there's no hard feelings. But if he tries to act like nothing happened, Zoro would not stand for Usopp walking all over Luffy and treating him like this isn't real pirates. That's what Zoro says, is like, we're not playing pirates here. This is serious. And if he's gonna blow up at the smallest things, how can we trust him going forward? So it was a really impactful moment that Luffy had to agree to, and so we come to the moment where the Thousand Sunny is sailing off as it's being barraged by Garp's cannonballs that he's just chucking at him. Usopp comes running over, shouting, a bunch of Usopp things, which kind of disappointed me a little bit in Usopp because he didn't immediately apologize, but it turned out to be a really heartwarming scene where Luffy and Zoro and the rest of the crew, besides Chopper, who doesn't know what's going on, pretend not to hear Usopp as he's shouting things like, "Oh, I was just kidding, come on, you took me seriously, come on, I'm back on the crew, isn't everyone so happy, let's just be friends, we're cool, let me back on the crew, what are you doing, why are you leaving?" And eventually it hits Usopp that this is serious, and he needs to apologize and, accept what he's done to the crew and to Luffy. And so, like I said, the rest of the Straw Hats are pretending not to hear him since they're waiting for his apology to be the first words that he says to them. Usopp finally breaks down and realizes his mistake and the gravity of the situation, and then starts crying and apologizes, asking to be brought back onto the crew, which is where finally Luffy starts breaking down too and reaches out his hand all the way to the shore to bring Usopp back on the ship. And everyone's happy because everyone wanted it to be this way. It was just, the fact of the matter was Usopp needed to respect the captain and accept what he's done wrong. And everyone was so happy. Everyone welcomed Usopp back onto the crew, laughing and crying because of all of it. It was just cute details, like Luffy pretending not to hear Usopp until he apologized, so it could be like his first words were an apology. Cute little details like that just make me love this series and the Straw Hats so much. Oh man, but that was all of Eni's lobby and Water 7 because there was a huge turning point for Usopp's character as well as Robin's, but we'll get to that later. But next is Thriller Bark, where Usopp is just scared shitless basically the entire time, but he does have a really awesome fight with Perona, where once again he's the only one who can defeat her because her hollows make everyone really depressed and scared, too down in on themselves to stand against her. But Usopp's been dealing with that since he's left his village, so there's no effect of the hollows on him, and he proudly exclaims that he just has a negative personality. And so he defeats Perona, which is a really funny scene, but also very Usopp again, because he's always been scared, so her hollows aren't going to make a difference. Which also adds to how brave he is, because that amount of depression and lack of self-worth is what the hollows did to people. But Usopp has been struggling with that the whole time, so it doesn't affect him, which was good in hindsight, but it was just a little sad. But Usopp pushes through it and again shows to be a brave warrior of the sea. Now moving on to Sabaody, where things are getting really heated and shit's going down. Usopp has a really awesome moment here against Kizaru, a Marine Admiral, and a Logia user, and a strong fighter overall, Usopp still stands up to him face to face and is just shooting all of his stars, his ammo, anything that he can at Kizaru to get Zoro free, basically. Kizaru was about to defeat Zoro, laying on the ground too injured from Thriller Bark to do anything about it, but Usopp stands pretty brave there, if I do say so myself, standing up to Kizaru face to face like that. Unfortunately, though, he is sent away like the rest of the Straw Hats, and they are all separated on separate islands as Kuma attempted to save them. Usopp is sent to the Bowen Archipelago, which is an island of sweet foods and deadly plants. Oh, the wind carries my name from Sniper Island far away. Down like on. While on this plant island, Usopp falls prey to a lot of the sweet foods, gets really chubby, to say it nicely, and he also befriends Herculeson, who is a resident of the island who's just kind of been dealing with all the deadly plants. I don't really remember why Herculeson was actually on the island and that he chose to stay on the island because he leaves later on, so I don't know. Anyway, he helps Usopp get back into shape and deal with the island of many crazy plants. Usopp, like the rest of the Straw Hats, is extremely devastated when he hears the news about everything that Luffy's been going through, and finding out that he can't be there for Luffy, and now that they have to wait the 2 years, it took a real toll on Usopp, but again, like the rest of the Straw Hats, he centered all of that emotion into determination to train for 2 years. He ended up using a lot of the pop greens, which were different plants that were on the island, in his new arsenal. And he gets much stronger. Returning to Sabaody, the last we saw him, like I said, he was pretty fat, but now his entrance, he's rocking up there, like swole and really confident, and it was a really great look for Usopp. And he goes up to Nami, he's like, I just want you to know that I'm not part of the weakling trio anymore. I'm not gonna hang around with you and Chopper. You know, he ends up being part of the weakling trio still, but it's just really cool to see that change of character and all the training, that the effect that it had on Usopp. Going into the new world, we're going to skip all the way to Dressrosa, because let me know in the comments if there were any really awesome Usopp moments in Fishman Island and Punk Hazard that I'm skimming over. I just, skimming through the arcs, I couldn't really find anything significant. But Dressrosa, that all changes. Usopp has several big moments here, and the first is when he becomes a god. Yup, that's Usopp. Throughout this arc, Usopp has been stringing along the Tontatas, making them believe that he is the descendant of their great savior and warrior, Noland. So that ties into earlier on Jaya, where Usopp heard about him the first time. So Usopp is pretending to be this savior of the Tontata, and of course he can't hold his end of the bargain when they all go against Treble and Sugar, two top commanders of the Don Quixote pirates. He's there with Robin and the Tontatas, and Robin gets turned into a toy, which makes Usopp completely lose memory of her, and the Tontatas were all captured by Treble fairly easily. So faced with two big commanders who were completely unharmed, thinking that he's alone because he no longer knows that Robin was around. He thinks he's alone, everyone was defeated, so he runs. He runs for a while, maybe that's just the anime, and you're like, come on, the Tontata are so trusting, you're really gonna abuse them like this? But luckily, I guess he has to look really bad before he looks really good, kind of similar to when he was trying to rejoin the crew and he was just trying to play it off, making him look really bad, which only led to him looking really good when he actually does apologize and owns up to his mistakes. Similar thing here, where Usopp runs away, but he pulls together his bravery and goes all the way back and fights against Treble and Sugar by himself. He loses, but he still does it. And besides, his losing kind of ended up being a win for him because Sugar tried to give him a poison berry that she thought that they were trying to poison her, but it ended up being a Tabasco Star ball thing, and he shoots flames because it's really hot and knocks Sugar out. So he is responsible for releasing all the toys and basically causing a giant uproar in Dressrosa as all of these people who were forgotten are now remembered, and the whole country is now really pissed at Doflamingo. All the people who were toys and got freed thanks to Usopp start cheering, and Harudin, the giant, holds Usopp up like Jesus, and, you know, everyone's saying like, oh wow, thanks Usopp, you're so great! And Usopp is there, pretty beaten up after his fight, and what Usopp is really trying to say, under his breath and mumbling since he's like half conscious, is, let me go, you're gonna kill me, please stop hurting me, let me down, you're gonna kill me, ah. But only snippets of his words are heard, and so the sentence that it makes is, I am here to guide you to freedom, or I will guide you, or something like that, something very prophetic. And so the crowd needs no encouragement to start shouting even more and claim Usopp as a savior sent from heaven. And everything that he's done against Doflamingo does not go unpunished. Doflamingo somehow, I guess through Treble maybe, he finds out that Usopp is responsible for knocking out Sugar, and so Doflamingo, when he's playing the game with the stars and the bounties for all the main antagonists of his country, he issues Usopp a 500 million berry bounty and a 5-star rating, so that the entire country needs to find the one man who pissed Doflamingo off the most. And that's saying something, considering Luffy and Law and Sabo and no one did that. Usopp did. And his face when it happens is so great, where he's like, oh, he's just like, 5 million? It's great, it's great. His name is in lights. God Usopp for the whole country to see, or should I say, God D Usopp. But if that wasn't enough of a feat for the arc, he further impresses everyone with a really incredible power-up. Usopp unlocks observation haki, but not the standard, you know, like dodge bullets observation haki. He unlocks the advanced observation haki, where he is now able to see auras and people from a great distance. And this is unlocked in a very tense and high stakes situation where Luffy and Law just about to, okay, can I help you? Stop. Anyway, Luffy and Law are about to fight Doflamingo, and Sugar is trying to intercept them, touch them, and get them to turn into toys so everyone will forget basically the whole reason they're fighting. So Usopp has Violet on his side to try and guide him in aiming a very special ammo at Sugar to try and get her out of the way so that Luffy and Law can go and face Doflamingo. We could see why this was unlocked under extreme duress, because not only does he have to do it in the amount of time it takes for Sugar to just reach out and touch Luffy to make everyone forget about him, he also needs to make sure that the ammo fits precisely in a window pane that Violet is helping him guide, but in the end, once he unlocks observation haki, he doesn't need her anymore because he's able to see it and hone in. But he also has to do all that from a huge distance. Like, it is ridiculous, the distance from all the way, I think that was the Colosseum or the factory, all the way to the castle on the plateau. Crazy. But of course, he unlocks it. He's able to really zero in on where Sugar is, where he needs to aim all the boosters, given the wind directions. It was a crazy scene. Again, highly recommend you rewatch that scene because it's great. And he succeeds, and his ammo was his face that originally knocked out Sugar when he ate the Tabasco's ball. So she faints again. nothing's to worry about, and Luffy and Law are free to go face Doflamingo unhindered. I just really love this observation power for Usopp, considering he's a long-range sniper. Like, you couldn't get better than this, and the fact that it's more of an advanced technique too, couldn't be better. Couldn't be better fitting for a sniper of the crew. Which brings my attention to the fact that we haven't really seen it again, and I'd really like to. So hopefully, you know, with the final war arc and everything that's going to happen later on, we will get more from Usopp using that advanced sniping observation haki, because it's really cool and I want to see more of it. And that wraps up Dressrosa, and we move on to the current arc that we are on now, Wano. Here, Usopp has been undercover as a snake oil salesman as to not arouse suspicion in the Wano country. And of course he is. Of course he's a snake oil salesman. I mean, what else would he be? And he has a toad. And that toad knows things. But that leads us on to talking about the raid at Onigishima, which this is where we'll cross into manga spoilers. So, anime onlys, you've been warned. We're gonna talk about the raid and things that the anime has not covered yet. So, are we good? We good? We good? Ready? 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 I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so Ulti and Page 1. Nami and Usopp team up. I really like them teaming up because they have very similar fighting tactics and they're both scaredy cats, so I really enjoyed them taking on 2 members of the Toby Roppo. I mean, it would be fair if they took on one between the 2 of them, but no. They fought Ulti and Page 1, both with ancient zone devil fruits, so super impressive, and I really enjoyed their fight there. But after that, we're kind of getting to the point where we're really just waiting for Luffy to defeat Kaido, Kaido's backstory, and a bunch of other things that doesn't really involve Usopp and the rest of the crew necessarily. I'm not sure where the end of Wano will be, but that's what we can talk about now, is the future of Usopp in Wano, but more importantly, at the end of the series. Also, in the most recent manga chapters, we also got Usopp claiming to have Conqueror's Haki, so if that's not enough of, you know, a confirmation that Usopp's gonna get Conqueror's Haki, I don't know what is. No, I don't know if he's actually going to, but it just goes along the lines of all the lies that Usopp tells end up being true, between, you know, the lady swordsman with meat, him having a 30 million berry bounty, giant goldfish, thousands of followers, you get it. But yes, now we move on to the future of the series for Usopp. Future me here, and I just wanted to pop in and say a few things about some recent chapters that have happened since I've recorded this, and I just wanted to say that we've had the CP Aegis Zero going after Brook and Robin, and considering a lot of the Straw Hats, Frankie, Jinbei, Usopp, Nami, and Brook and Robin don't really have much to do right now, I think all of them getting together and being able to protect Robin and go against the CP Aegis Zero would be really impressive and really show how far they've come as a crew to protect Nico Robin against the world government. And if Usopp doesn't have a part in the CP Aegis Zero fight, he was shown to be going after Kinemon because he's alive. Woo! I don't know what that's going to be, but he has Kinemon's lower half, and they are going towards where Kinemon is laying there with Kiku. I don't know if he's going to come up against the big fire demon of the Korizumi clan that Kanjuro made. I think if Usopp is the one who is able to reattach Kinemon and save Kiku, it would be really important because Kinemon might be the one who is going to stop Kanjuro's fire demon due to his fire splitting abilities. So Usopp's role is pretty important right now, and he's going off on his own, which is always scary. He left Nami, Tama, and Speed behind. So we'll see where he goes from there. I'm excited to see what the end of Wano is, but I don't think we're going to get big Usopp moments until we go to Elbaf. Because now we have to look at his dream of becoming a brave warrior of the sea. And looking at the entire series once again, who really can argue that Usopp isn't already a brave warrior of the sea? That's why there is a theory that I won't really go into, but it's the theory that Usopp might be the one to die, because he'll die doing something really brave, protecting someone of the Straw Hats or doing something, and his dying words will be like, was I brave? And Luffy's gonna be like, Usopp, you always were a brave warrior of the sea. I hope that doesn't happen. I think if it's done well, of course, it'll be cool, but I hope that Usopp doesn't die. The question really about him fulfilling his dream is, when will that happen? What needs to happen for the world to see Usopp as a brave warrior of the sea? What needs to happen for Usopp to declare himself a brave warrior of the sea? And where does he go from here? I think part of the answer definitely lies in Elbaf, where he's going to finally see all of the giants and be able to kind of commiserate with them and talk about stories, war stories, all the things that they've done. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Elbaf is going to be, assumably, Shanks's arc. With Shanks comes Yasopp, and so Usopp will reunite with his dad on Elbaf, and I think that will also play into him seeing himself as a brave warrior of the sea. And I can imagine this really cute scene. I can see Usopp saying, I'm gonna be a brave warrior of the sea just like you someday, and then Yasopp's gonna say, well, I've been watching you, and I've been keeping tabs and all the things you've done. You're already a brave warrior of the sea, son. You know, I can see Yasopp, besides the whole abandonment thing, being a really supportive dad and being very proud of Usopp. And so Usopp's gonna cry, and he's gonna cry, everyone's gonna cry. And Usopp will see that his dad already sees him as a brave warrior of the sea, and maybe that will be the moment that he achieves his dream? Maybe not. And how do you guys feel about Usopp possibly being the first one to achieve his dream? Because eventually, the Straw Hats are going to start achieving their dreams. It's just a matter of when each one happens. Like I keep saying, he's already a brave warrior of the sea, but maybe he's waiting until Luffy reaches Laugh Tale and Luffy becomes king of the pirates to officially claim that he's brave warrior of the sea, just to reiterate that support and determination that he has for Luffy to achieve his dream. So maybe he'll wait for that to happen, and then soon after, leading into the war, the final war against the world government, he'll be the brave warrior of the sea now that Luffy is king of the pirates. I think that would work really well with his character. But regardless, he will 100% claim to be the brave warrior of the sea that he's always wanted to be by the end of the series, and especially against the world government. And with that, I hope we get to see more observation haki from Usopp, but overall, that wraps up the future of Usopp. And, by extension, Usopp's appreciation video. So I hope you all enjoyed talking about Usopp and diving down memory lane to all the things that he's been through, and I hope that there was some stuff that you may have forgotten about. If there was something that I missed, make sure you comment below and remind me, because I tried to go through the whole series and catch everything that was worth discussing, but the series is pretty long, let's be honest, so let me know if I missed anything. And let me know what your favorite Usopp moment was, too. I think there are a lot of really good moments that I can't really choose one out of the other, because there's the shooting down the flag and him not even flinching as he declares war on the world government with Luffy. More so with his character, I really like later on in that same arc where he's giving the pep talk to Luffy and telling him that he needs to get up and fight or else he's gonna fight Lucci, and that was really what Luffy needed, and you know, with all their interactions leading up to that was really impactful too. And then what got me like the craziest moment was the observation haki thing, where he was able to shoot that. Like, I remember I was being at the edge of my seat trying to see just how he was going to pull this off. And that was really cool. I mean, of course, and then the God moment is also just hilarious. The fact that he's labeled a god now on his bounty poster and everything. So yeah, Usopp has a lot of great moments, and I'll be honest, it took me a long time to really warm up to him. In the series, I thought that he was kind of annoying, but I forget where I had seen it, but the point of Usopp in the early series is to really depict what a normal person would be like with a crew of monsters, because even Nami grew up fighting against pirates and being really cool, so even she was a leg above Usopp in my opinion in the early game. So viewing Usopp as just a regular person trying to get by with sniping, I think that really enlightened me in viewing his character not as harshly, but for sure after Enies Lobby, I started loving Usopp, and especially after the time skip with Dressrosa and now in Wano, I really enjoy Usopp. he's a really great Straw Hat that doesn't get talked about enough. So here's my partial solution to that problem. So again, leave a like and subscribe if you liked anything Usopp and anything that I had to say. Make sure you leave your thoughts below and stay tuned for my next video, which will be covering Vinsmoke Sanji. And again, feel free to follow me on Twitch and Twitter for more One Piece gaming and anime content. But until my next video, have a great day, follow your dreams, and check me next time. Bye! When I take aim straight and true, loo la la loo. Rubber band of doom! Rubber band of doom! Rubber band of doom!